All right, guys, welcome back. Today is Monday, and there are three properties that hit the market, three investment income producing properties. We'll see about the income, but they hit the market today. We're going to check them out, be the first ones to look at them. So, with that being said, if you haven't been here before, on the top part, you're going to see my live MLS feed. You're going to see these properties. We're going to analyze these properties live. And to my right, depending on how you're looking at it, or on the bottom, there's an investment calculator that we use. It follows or it tracks 9 different metrics. The ones that you're going to see on your screen are the famous 1% rule, right? Which basically says, like, does the property at least get in revenues 1% of the purchase price every single month? And then the other gauge that you're going to see on the right part is going to be, do the rents pay the mortgage? We want to know if with a 25% investor loan, right, you would be able to pay the mortgage with the rents that it gets. That's at least the minimum that we want to see in a property, that it could pay for itself. If it can't pay for itself, it's out of here. And then at the bottom, there's different kinds of financing, because not everybody's going to have money for a 25% down loan. Some people are going to have just 3.5% to buy the property using an FHA loan. Other people are going to have a 10%. Other people might have the 25%, and some people might just buy it cash. So with that in mind, we put how long it would take for you guys to be able to cash flow while you are saving for repairs and maintenance, while you're saving for capital expenditures, which is like replacing a roof, and while you are saving 5% for vacancies when you do have them. So it's a pretty conservative guide, I would say. Most people, and definitely agents, when they list a property and they tell you that it has a certain cap rate, or the net operating income, the NOI, is X amount of money, they are usually not considering many of any expenses, maybe taxes and insurance, and that's about it. We're going to consider more than that. So, because we want to be conservative. So with that being said, guys, welcome to the show. Let's get started right now. As of today, we are still using the rate for the 30-year fixed rate mortgage that the Federal Reserve published last week. And if you haven't seen it, I'll show it to you guys. Let's put here 10 there. So as of last this Thursday, right? Interest rates were at 6.46. 6.46, that's the average across the country for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. So that's what we're going to use here on our calculator, 646, as you guys can see right there. All right. With that in mind, let's take a look at the actual market in South Florida. Okay, how many houses hit the market in the last 7 days? 1,983, 1983. Maybe if you were born that year, it's your week to buy, or it's your day to look for properties. Price decreases. There are 2,047 price decreases in the same amount of time. So we saw more houses actually have price decreases, right? About what is it? Oh, a little less than 100 houses have a price decrease versus them coming onto the market. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's the same amount of money. It's the same amount of houses that are coming onto the market versus them actually having a price drop. And what that tells you guys is that it's a good time to negotiate your prices, right? It's almost guaranteed that these guys that are coming onto the market new are at some point going to have to decrease their prices as well. So when we look at prices, guys, if it's close, like for example, if the property that we analyzed, that's a 0.72, right? This for me would be like a C or a D opportunity, right? Maybe you're going to be able to negotiate that price and make that C or B, or C a D, or B or a C. Same thing, if it's a property that's a B, you might have the opportunity to negotiate that price and really make it an A. So for that reason, just keep that in mind. That's an important thing that you want to look at. And of course, there's other things that are important. Location's important. Okay, it's very important. The neighborhood, if it's up and coming, what's it looking like? The demographics of the area, like you want to look at all that stuff. However, like I am not, because I'm still a licensed agent, I cannot tell you guys like, hey, like, steer you away from a certain community for whatever reason. But as investors, right? As investors, you need to look at every single metric that you can. Is the area growing? Is it not growing? Is it an opportunity development zone? What tax advantages does that offer you, right? So go into these specifics with your real estate agent. But let's get into it. And we could talk more about it as we look at the deals. We're going to come down here. We're going to look at new multis in the last 24 hours. Okay. Whoops. What happened there? And there's 4, but I was actually checking this out before we started the live stream, and one of them already, we reviewed it yesterday. This one all the way at the end, we reviewed it. So we're not going to review that one today. It's just going to be the first 3 that we're going to look at. Okay. So with that being said, let's go here. We're going to erase this last one in Broward County that we already looked at yesterday. If you guys want to see that, just go to yesterday's go to yesterday's live stream and check it out. But we're going to refine that and discard it now. Okay, so with that being said, let's sort by price per square foot. Everything today is like, it's not outrageous. We'd like to see like around the 300, 350, price per square foot at the highest. This one is a 431, but let's see what it has to offer. Maybe it has a lot to offer, right? So it's a fourplex in Miami-Dade County. They want $1.49 million for it. They're currently paying $19,382 a year in taxes. Square foot, it's pretty big, 3,456 square feet, okay? All right, and they're saying that they're actually collecting $10,500 a month in rent, okay? Which isn't terrible, but it's not great for the purchase price that they're asking. They say that it's a flood zone X, so it's as good as it gets. Let's take a look at the pictures of the property. Okay, this looks like a render. It might be a rendering. It might be a rendering. If it's not a rendering, it's pretty nice, right? New construction, obviously. Okay. Open floor. Yep. Okay. Not terrible. Listen, for rentals, I don't like these floors. Just they're very slippery. Just looking at them feels like a liability. The AC up here, not a fan of that either, but okay, so that's it. Those are the pictures. Let's look at the guts of this deal, see what we can make sense out of. All right, so you say it's an income producing quad in the heart of Miami. Fully furnished property offers an excellent opportunity for investors with strong cash flow, yada, yada, yada. The property features desirable unit mix of 2 spacious 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and 2 studios, allowing for multiple income streams. Okay, all right, let's see what they are saying that they could get. They're saying that the 4 2s could rent for $3,600. Nope, not 36,000. 3,600. And they're saying that the studios could rent for $1,650. Okay, $1,650. They're saying that the studios could rent that for. Here's the problem that I have with this, right? And that's $10,500 in total, right? Here's the problem that I have. The median 3-2 in Miami-Dade rents for $3,000. So they're saying that they could get 20% more just because it's, it's not just because it's a little bit updated. I don't buy that. I mean, it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Maybe they could get that. It's hard to believe because the median price for actual 1-1 is $1,600 for this one, right? And they're saying that they're getting $1,650. We didn't see any of the pictures for the studios, and they don't even tell us how big the studios are. So I find it kind of hard to believe that they're getting $1,650 because you could go live in a 1-bedroom condo in downtown Miami and pay pretty close to this. So would you rather live in a studio in a fourplex in a developing part of Miami, or would you rather live in a condo and pay the same amount? I'd rather live in a condo. I don't know about you guys, right? So again, with all of the properties that we look at, the most important thing is that if the properties make an iota, just a little bit of sense, like this one might, right? 0.7, it's starting to get, it's no longer like a throwaway. It might be like a C- kind of a property, right? Then do yourself a favor, pull the rents for all the properties, all the, duplexes, triplexes, and quads, the multifamily properties within a 1/4 mile of this house, and look for closed rents. Meaning, if you tell your real estate agent, hey, pull me the closed rents for a 1/4 mile for apartments, just like pull me for 4 2s and pull me for studios, right? Because what you want to do is you want to make sure that there's other product out there that's actually being rented for these prices. I have a feeling that you're not going to be able to get this high rents. Okay, that's why he's saying they're vacant, right? Because if I really wanted to get the best amount of money for the home, I would, especially a multifamily home, I would rent these out. I would rent these out, and then I would say, hey, look, they're rented. Like, it's actually producing the money, right? But for that reason, look, guys, like the best return on your investment here is a 9.2%, and that's putting a 10% down payment. Same thing if you put a 25% down payment, you get a 9.2% internal rate of return, which is basically based on like the amount of cash that the property gives you throughout the life of the property, estimating for 30 years, right? And it barely beats. I mean, it actually doesn't beat the S&P. For that reason, this property for me would be like a D, maybe even an F. You know, because we ideally want to at least beat the S&P, guys. So for that being said, we're going to go ahead. We're going to discard this property. This is not a fit for us. And it would just be too difficult to, I think, one, get these prices. But even if you could get these prices, it still doesn't make sense. And you would have to make this guy come down to probably like, I would say at least 1, 2, you know. At 1, 2 starts making more sense. You get financing for it easier, right? The returns on investment, if you leverage, if you pull a loan, you know, you're beating the S&P across the board. So the chances of actually getting this guy to reduce his price almost $300,000 is difficult. So for that reason, this property is a discard. We're going to go ahead and get rid of it, put it here on our fail list, and keep it moving. All right, next property. We are still in Miami-Dade County. All the properties that we're going to look at today are in Miami-Dade. Okay, this time is a $649,000 duplex, paying $10,203 a year in taxes. Square feet, 2,022 square feet, not bad. They say that they're collecting $5,400 a month in rent. Okay. And a flood zone A, H, and X. So that means you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for that being in that flood zone. Guys, right off the bat, the property kind of makes sense. Let's make sure that it actually could get those rents or if they're bluffing. There's only one picture of the property, which isn't very cool for us. Let's look at the guts of this deal a little bit further. They don't put a lot of information. They just say it's 2 individual units. Okay, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They said the 3-2 rents at $3,700, and the 2-1 rents at $1,700. Okay, this property would need to literally be balled out, and it would need to be awesome in order to actually pull $3,700 for a 3-2, right? I don't see that actually happening. It is, you know, zoned multifamily, and let's see. Here we go. Yeah, it's 2 different buildings, so I don't like that, right? 2 different roofs. This one is 1,492 square feet, and then this one is 596 square feet. Okay, built in 1940. In 1995, it was a little bit updated. Same thing, 1950, kind of fixed up in 1995. Okay. Okay, the biggest red flag here is their estimate for the 3-2 rent, right? Because we know that the median rent in Miami-Dade County for a 3-2 is $3,000. So how awesome is that 3-2, right? That's something that you would need to call the agent and find out, but I don't buy it. Let's look at the property history, see if we can find pictures of this property as it was before. There's some pictures here. So they recently purchased this property. Here are the pictures, guys. I doubt that they renovated it from the way that it looks now, but that product does not rent for $3,700. They'd be lucky to get $3,000 for it, right? So if it continues to look that way, I would say $3,000 there, right? And for that 1-1, right, the median is $1,600, but I mean the way that it's looking there, I don't know anybody that would pay more than $1,500 for that. And for that reason, this property is also a big fat fail, and we're going to keep on moving because that's never going to really pencil out. So, all right, we're on to our last property of the day. Okay, guys, we're staying in Miami-Dade County. We are now looking at something that's $485,000. Okay, they're currently paying in taxes. Let's see, 6,400. Let's see, 6,487,000 a year in taxes. Whoops, 6,487. 1,680 square feet. Okay, they said they're collecting $3,200 a month in rent. Okay, which would make this a no deal property. Let's look at the pictures real quick, see if we could figure something out. They only included one picture, so there's not a lot to figure out with that. Ooh, excuse me, guys. So it says that it is actually, okay, it's a 2-2 and a 2-1. The 2-2 is renting for $1,600, and the 2-1 is also renting for $1,600. So let's see, a 2-1. Okay, guys, so they might be under market here, right? They say investor special in the heart of North Miami Beach. It depends where it is in North Miami Beach. But it might be in an area worth looking into, okay? Because if they are, check it out, if they are charging a little bit less for rent than what they should. Now, the property does look a little bit older just by looking at this one picture, right? Like, it definitely looks older. Doesn't even look like it's concrete block. Yeah, frame with stucco, guys. Frame with stucco. It's not ideal, for sure. Let's look at the property history. The first time that it's listed, guys. First time that it's going to be listed. Let's see if there in any kind of like problems with taxes. Okay, they do have a levy, garbage trash recycle for $1,400. That's the levy. Doesn't mean much. Okay, all right. So they might be looking to get rid of the property, all right, for whatever reason. But guys, if this is where the diligence after the show is important, right? If we could show that if there's a 2-1 and that 2-1 could get $2,300, just a 2-1, $2,300, right? And the 2-2, let's say it also just gets $2,300. All of a sudden, this property could be an amazing, amazing property, right? It could be something that you could get cash flow on day one with a DSCR loan, right? It could be a 0.95, almost a 1% kind of a property. It's a little bit on the small side, but if you go and the property is in good condition, it doesn't require a lot of, work, right? Because any work that you put into it, let's say you put in $100,000 into this deal, right? Even if you could collect those rents, now you're looking at $585. Does the deal still make sense? And yeah, in this case, the deal would still make sense if you could collect those rents and put like 50 grand into each unit. So this is where the homework comes in, guys. So for that reason, I think that this property is definitely worth taking another look at. Pull up the area, pull up the rents. This is everything that you guys say, like, oh, but if only, it's an opportunity. Guys, if only, right? This guy had more pictures, we could analyze it better. You know how many people that are looking to invest that maybe have a lot of money, but it's their first time investing, are going to pass on this property? A lot. Because they're going to say like, hey, there's no pictures here. So it's a terrible job by the listing agent, but that's an opportunity for us. It's an opportunity for us because now we're going to go out, we're going to actually put eyes on the property, and maybe the property has really good bones. Dude, the property's been there since 1940. It could be like all the like wood siding that you want, but as long as it doesn't have termites, as long as it's still looking good, dude, like how many hurricanes have passed by Miami in almost like now 80 years and this house is still standing, right? So I mean, take your risk, right? Like have your own like risk analysis, see how much you could actually insure this for, but maybe it makes all the sense in the world. So for that reason, guys, this property is going to be a close, but closing in like on a B. And if interest rates go down, guys, like if interest rates just hit 5.98 where they were a month ago, right? This property is now looking even better, right? It's looking even better, and at 485, right? If you could raise those rents, you're cash flowing all day long. If interest rates really go down and this thing with Iran hopefully ends, I think the interest rates will go down to like a 4.5. Dude, this will cash flow all day, every day, starting on day one, especially if you get it for these rents again. So guys, go out, do your homework a little bit more, call your real estate agent, tell them to look at this property. go out and see it. And if it's worth it, let me know. Let me know if you got any value from this. And if there's anything else that you wanted to see. Oh yeah, by the way, right? Just the way that it is right now with the current interest rates the way that they are, which is crazy high, 6.46, right? If you could collect those rents, right, which are the median rents in Miami, the return on investment with an FHA is a 19.4, and cash is 10% on the nose, okay? If interest rates were to go down to 5.98, the return on investment for an FHA would be a 22%, 22.5%, okay? Cash is cash, the interest rates don't really matter, but it matches the S&P 500. But it gives you like all these other benefits, right? So yeah, with that being said, guys, let me know if you have any questions. We found, I think, a pretty great property. This is a potential B+, potential A property. So let me know if you have any questions, and we will see you guys tomorrow.